Can you guys hear me? Sorry about that. I keep forgetting that it doesn't work on the Safari. So I get all the way in there, I set it all up, and then I remember I got to crash it down and start over because I got to use Google Chrome. So apologize about that. We'll give it a few minutes here and let some people get on. Looks like we got 66 on already, so we're doing pretty good. We'll give it just a couple of minutes and we'll get going for the evening. Glad to see everybody's hearing us all right. Yeah, again, I apologize. It was I keep forgetting that whole part with the Google Chrome thing. So if you guys don't mind, hit like the thumbs up on the page here. That helps on this live chat. That helps sort of get it out to other people. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, Russell's Fishing Tech, make sure you do that as well. But the thumbs up on the video. We're getting a bunch of those going now, and that'll help the live. So want to get rolling, talk a little bit about last week's fishing, what we got coming up this week, what I got coming up this week. And unfortunately, I was going to go live from the fish stick out on the lake this afternoon, but we got blown off. So it's howling out there. It's blowing 20-25 out of the south. Hopefully that gets the fish going a little bit, but unfortunately it didn't allow me to go out. I was going to run around for kings tonight and go live from the boat, but that didn't happen. Keep hitting that thumbs up on the live for me so that we can get some help on the channel. But we'll see what we got going here. So we'll get started with kind of what happened last week here in Sheboygan and up and down the lakeshore a little bit. I got Jackson with me tonight. I guess for those of you who don't know, we should introduce Jackson quick. A lot of you guys, if you're big salmon candy fans, you probably see Jackson on the salmon candy page. Jackson's one of my go-to guys for testing product. He's also been real instrumental in helping me develop product over the years and that kind of stuff, and it has helped work for salmon candy in the off season. Jackson is a charter captain for Dumper Dan. Just got his license literally within the last 24 hours. The ink is dry. He's been a long time first mate, and him and I have been friends for a long time. So Jackson can maybe get in on some of this conversation tonight. But so last week out of Sheboygan, fishing started off the week really good. And then as the week went along and we got into the weekend, it got what I would call spotty. I fished quite a bit over the weekend and it was spotty. Some boats did really, really well. Some boats did not do well. It seemed like it was a right place, right time thing. And interestingly enough, I noticed yesterday, the silverfish fishing yesterday morning got really tough out in that deep water. We've been fishing primarily 200 to 350 foot of water south of Sheboygan. Silverfish fishing got real tough, and actually what replaced a lot of the silverfish for a lot of people were lake trout. But lake trout, interestingly enough, up on the surface on your coho gear. Is that kind of what you saw as well?
Yeah, mostly. I mean, you get some bigger lake trout down below, like 100 to 151 on cowbells and stuff like that. But a lot of it has been on 1, 2s, and 3 colors with coho rigs.
So through the weekend here in Sheboygan, we were still fishing cohos with the standard coho gear. So salmon candy, double O Dodgers, salmon candy stubbies. That seemed to switch by the day. One day it was double O Dodgers, the next day it was stubbies. I mean, we were getting bites on both when there was cohos around, but one or the other would be a little bit better. Maybe walk them through kind of what your setup's been. I know over the weekend you did good on a 5 color with a stubby, but kind of what have you been running for rods and what do you had on them?
So I've been running anywhere from 1, 3, and a 5 on each side on my boat. Yeah, for lead cores on each side of the boat, and then I've been either running 2 pumps or I've been running 2 coppers with flasher flies on it. My color, or for lead cores, I'd probably do a stubby on the 1 color and then a spinny on the 2 color or a 3 color, whatever, and then a spoon on the 5 color or a stubby. And it's been kind of, the 5 colors are really good today. I mean, really good considering we caught 2 fish on it, but they've been really good for everything, stubbies and regular coho Dodgers.
Okay. I was out over the weekend. It was primarily double O's for me. I couldn't seem to get the stubbies to go. And for me, I had my outside boards were inline weight, 5/8 ounce, back like 50-60. Those were working. And then 1 color seemed to be my best rods. I don't think I took a 5 color bite all weekend. I had flashers on them. Took a couple 3 color hits. I was running like inline weights on the outside, then 1 colors, then 3 colors, and a 5 and a 7. I don't think I took a hit on a 5 or a 7 all weekend.
Another thing that we've been really doing well on are slide divers. Anywhere from 31 to 51 back on the counter. That's been working really well too.
Yeah, so I did get a couple bites on slide divers as well. Just a regular slide diver for me on braid on this boat here. I was out on the Vendetta all weekend. So fishing over the past week has been good to great up until the weekend. It got a little bit tough. We got kind of a big north blow, and then things kind of got a little bit goofy over the weekend, and then it was really tough today. And I don't know if it's because the fish got moved or what exactly happened, but you guys were out this morning, and for the most part, everybody struggled.
Yeah, there's one boat that caught 8 of them, but then all the other boats struggled.
And it was at Wags?
That was actually Dave. Dave caught 8. Okay,
I know Wags. We call him Wags. Sam Wagner, who also works for Salmon Candy, and we posted some stuff before. Also a fresh new captain. Yep. He did a couple of kings today.
Yeah, he did.
That was kind of what I want to talk about a little bit. So there was some nice kings caught this weekend, and more of what I would call a king program.
Yep.
Not a lot, but I know a couple of boats in particular that fish for them, one of which was posted some pictures today. And it was a gentleman named Nick that was here he's from Lake Superior area. He was here for, I think, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. He was averaging about 2 4-year-olds a trip. He'd go out in the morning and go out in the evening. He was getting about 2 a trip, and nice ones. He had a 27-pounder. And for him, it was pretty much an all-pressure fly program on either coppers or wires or downriggers.
Yep.
And the thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about is what we're seeing more of what I would call normal June colors and what's been the oddest June ever. And what do I mean by that? Well, this is probably the latest in 30 plus years of doing this that I can remember fishing in Michigan. I've seen kings show up in Sheboygan, and I would even consider at this point that they've showed up. It's still brutally tough for kings, but I think it's just starting to maybe happen. And I'm thinking maybe by the end of the weekend, it might get better. You guys can't hear me anymore? Can you guys hear me? Somebody answer. A couple people said they lost the audio. I don't know if that was their audio or mine. Can't hear. Andrew, you can hear me? Audio's back. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it might be cutting in and out a little bit here with what we got for signal. We'll do the best we can. So at any rate, what I was saying was this is by far the latest in 30 years that I can ever remember kings showing up in Sheboygan, and it's just starting to get good. Just starting to get kings, not even good, get kings. I don't consider 2 a trip good, but I probably have a little bit lower standards than most people. I mean, if I get 2 or 3 or 4 kings, I think that's a good day, and today is fishery. With that said, what I wanted to say was I'm starting to see our normal June pattern work. So I did a video earlier in the year saying, maybe I was wrong this year. Chrome and green seemed to be really good early for the few kings that I had caught down in Milwaukee and Port, et cetera, et cetera. But what I'm hearing from the guys that really got into a few kings this weekend and caught some is that the standard chrome and blues are back. So as I posted for Nick, he did really well on Megatron, which he loves, standard 8-inch Megatron. This particular one off Vendetta, he's got illumination on it. I know he was running that. He said he got some on Studs Blue Chin. That was good for him. I believe, yes, pump handles have been good, guys. Guys are getting bit on pump handles. He also got bit on, I believe it was Ron Bro's stud. That's been good for some people. Other people I've talked to that have had some, kind of king action here and there. Blue stud was starting to wake up, working for some guys, especially on pumps. I'm hearing that 6-ounce, 8-ounce pump stuff. One that I haven't heard anything about that I'll have in the water tomorrow that I think you should have in the water based on the time of year is Chrome Peyton's Pounder. If Chrome and Blue is working, this is a great flasher. You should have this in the water. I think it's similar to the Studs Blue Chin, which might be the hottest one that I've heard of. Seems like everybody's getting a few king bites on these. The fish stick boat got a couple kings the other day. I think that was Sunday morning or Saturday afternoon, one or the other. Maybe Saturday afternoon. I know on a wire diver out 201, so way out there. Kevin has some on that Studs Blue Chin. I would have that Chrome Peyton's Pounder out. I know like Rondo over on Slam and Salmon. The only bait he could get any kings on in the last week has been blue jeans. He's been running that on a 150 copper. That's been good for him. He's been getting cohos on it. He's been getting kings on it. And then if you haven't seen the Salmon Candy Facebook page, congratulations goes to Rob and Andrew Weeder out of, or Wetter, I believe it's pronounced, out of Port Washington. They boated a 34-pound and change on a certified scale fish king over the weekend, an absolute beautiful monster, and that came on this setup right here, a Cryptotron with an illumination fly. And I remember earlier in the year, like in the off season, I remember putting a post up where I predicted that the Cryptotron was going to be one of the hot flashers, and I remember there was a troll on there, as I call him. I won't mention his name, but a troll that just wanted to be a jerk that day, telling me, how could you predict that flasher? You're just trying to pump up sales, yada, yada. And lo and behold, I've been getting a lot of messages actually from especially Port Washington boats, Milwaukee boats, charter boats that have been sending me pictures of Cryptotron, with big kings. And we knew that thing was good already because it's been around a while. We just haven't had it on the for sale market. Right. So is there any flashers that weren't in this? Maybe you want to talk about the one that you got your big one on the other day and that you think maybe that's going to get going now that there's some kings here?
Yeah. So it was yesterday or 2 days ago, I was running a 10-inch green jeans, UV green jeans with a vegan rig on a wire out 121, and that took a nice 18 to 20 pound king.
A chrome UV green jeans.
Chrome, yes.
10-inch fish blade, but with a vegan rig.
Yep, a vegan rig.
And you and I both had a lot of luck on that. We were two of the guys that really got that going.
Yep.
And we sort of tested those last year before we sold them, and then you and I fished them a lot when we sold them, and they really, really work.
Yeah, I really do. I really like the idea. People that like to run meat rigs and stuff like that, it's way easier to just put the fly out and send it instead of critiquing the meat and stuff like that too. So I really like that aspect, especially on the charter boats. I really want to get those baits out and fishing. So.
Yeah, exactly. And why I think the vegan rigs will start to work is I think we're going to start seeing, we're getting some warm weather now. If the wind would stop blowing for a couple of days, I think we'll start to see a thermocline. I think we'll start to see some kings being caught in that 40, 50, 60 down range. And I think that's like golden 10-inch fish blade range.
Yeah,
like that 50, 60, 70 down, I think is the sweet spot for those 10-inch. You get much full at 70, and I think you're better off with a 12-inch or maybe an 11-inch paddle.
Right.
You get much above that 50, 40 mark, and I think 8-inch definitely outproduce that. One of the tips I can give you, I think, based right now, because the water's so cold yet, is I don't think you can fish too high for kings. What do I mean by that? I think you could fish 6-ounce pumps, even 4-ounce pumps potentially. I wouldn't be afraid if you were specifically trying to catch kings. I wouldn't be afraid of a 3-color or a 5-color. That 35-pounder, or 34-pounder, I'm going to call it, that was caught on the Cryptotron was on a 5-color. Okay. I would not be afraid of a 3-color.
No.
I wouldn't even be afraid of a standard slide diver with out 70, 80, 90, 100, something like that with a flasher fly on it.
Get it away from the boat.
I think getting the baits away from the boat right now is a big deal, and I think the kings are spread out. I think that's the other reason why it's not as good as it could be. Right. When they start to suck into that, what we haven't seen this year is the normal June thing where 30, 40, 50 down is a giant wad of kings.
Right.
It doesn't seem to be the case. I hear guys getting bites 90 or 100 down. I hear bites getting 10 or 20 down. Nobody's getting a bunch of bites.
No.
But now we know Wag's got a few today on his trip. Did we hear what you said? Coppers. You didn't hear what length though?
No.
Okay. He hasn't responded to me, so I'm 100% positive on that either.
Real look big on his Snapchat, so I'm assuming a 300.
Yeah.
So down in that 60-foot range.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree with that. Probably 60 to 70 down, give or take. Now somebody mentioned in there, he said he was surprised on the flies that Nick B mentioned he was surprised on the flies that Nick got those kings on over the weekend. He got a couple on illumination originally, which isn't a surprise, obviously.
No, that's
But
good
what was surprise after that, I don't know if you saw that or not, was glowing lep and 50-50 frog.
I didn't see that. I
Yeah.
just saw the illumination.
Yep,
So.
which those were obviously those are not our normal sort of particular ones to choose this early, but it goes really par for the course. It has not been a normal year whatsoever. So would I say I'm surprised that they're catching them on some stuff that I wouldn't normally say and normally use? Not really. But I basically showed you my spread. I'm gonna probably go king fishing tomorrow morning. I got a customer that I'm jumping on with in the morning for a few hours on fish stick boat. He's one of you guys who has been a big follower of Russell's Fishing Tech, coming to my salmon schools, yada yada yada. He booked a charter on the fish stick. I'm gonna jump on there in the morning, and you probably basically saw what I'll have on my side. It'll be 4 or 5 flashers of that mix right there. Metron, Cryptotron, Blue Jeans, Studs Blue Chin, Peyton's Pounder, Chrome. That'll probably be the bulk of the mix for me. I may fish one white blade real early in the morning just to see as sort of I always want to have this one oddity out, or one outlier as I call it.
Right.
Or I may fish a big fish blade, or a smaller fish blade with a vegan rig. Otherwise as well. So just to get to a couple questions on here. Lone Rock Rods Darren says, if you had a crystal ball, what do you think it will look like in 2 weeks from now? I don't have a crystal ball, so I'm not going to pretend to know. If I had to guess, I think king fishing is going to get better and better here over the course of the next couple weeks. So I think that will probably be good here in the next couple of weeks.
I did see a report out of, I don't know if it was last year or this year. I believe it was this year, and it was yesterday or today, of a lot of kings being caught in Port Washington.
They're starting to.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot, but I mean, I'm hearing like 3, 4, 5 for the guys that are really fishing for them.
So hopefully they can make their way up to Sheboygan.
Andrew Madison says, any morning color flashers going recently, or chrome during all times? Chrome during all times. I haven't heard much for whites being any good yet. So, I'm going to fish it. If we go out at 4, I'm going to have this stuff out, especially like Cryptotron, Studs Blue Chin, Megatron. Those all have glow on them.
Yep.
So I'm not afraid to put those out right away in the morning. Philip asks, are there UV Chrome Frog and UV Green Jeans available on the website yet? We shipped the pallet today to the warehouse manufacturing. That should get there, I'm hoping, by the end of the week. So by the weekend, those should be available. Tim Ross says, how do you calculate depth of the copper line? There's a chart. Blood Run has a good chart, but I've also heard something that I think is fairly accurate. If you take the number, times it by 2, and drop to 0, that's about what you get. So in other words, a 300 copper times 2 is 600. Drop to 0 is 60. 150 times 2 is 300. Drop to 0 is 30. That's about right. So I would say that's a good one to sort of take a look at. B Doodle, I have not heard of much going on north of Sheboygan. Unfortunately, it sounds like it's a desert. North, well, maybe you could call it more like Alaska than a desert.
Yeah, pretty much.
North of Sheboygan, I have not heard much going on at all. Speedy Gamer says, only thing I've been getting some king action on is stubby dodgers with a standard peanut flies. Yeah, I've heard actually quite a few. I had a picture of Don Bro, as we call him, the other day with a big king on a stubby dodger. That just goes to show you how high a lot of those kings are yet. They're biting stubbies up in the top 15 feet of the water column, 20 feet of the water column. So that might go to tell you that you probably need to get some 8-inch flashers up that high.
Right.
A lot of guys just probably don't have 8-inch flashers up that high. Dragonfly Lens says, Russell, have you tried if any salmon are biting on spoons or plugs? We've been fishing some spoons. I haven't had a salmon bite in Wisconsin on a spoon yet. I don't know if you have or not. But that should start
salmon,
coming.
But not a king.
Yep. I know Kevin asked, and I think somebody else did, about how to do pumps without getting them tangled. I'm going to make a video on that probably this week. So there are a couple people that are saying that there's some audio trouble. It might be the connection down here at the marina. It might be going in and out a little bit, so I do apologize for that. We're doing the best we can. Yeah, Nick, I don't argue with you. It's been that kind of year where not everything that's working all the time seems to be consistent. Chris, that's too bad that you didn't do super well in the Kenosha tournament. I saw Jim Stepp, I think, won that tournament, so I saw that. He's a great fisherman, so not a huge surprise. somebody says 2 weekends ago they got some in 100 to 200, or some from 60 to 100, down in 200 foot of water in Two Rivers. Yeah, I did hear there's been days where Two Rivers has been okay, but it hasn't been very consistent. So, which I think is sort of the par for the course for the season, I guess. So we'll see how that ends up panning out. What's coming up this week? Well, as I said, I'm going out with a customer tomorrow morning. You'll obviously be out all week. You got Lily this week.
Yep.
The guy that Lily was fishing with, Eric, he went back home to Two Rivers to fish. So you got Lily starting this week. She's going to be your full-time mate. So you two will get out there and chase some fish around for the next 3 months probably, or 2 months.
She'll pound me into the ground like usual.
Yeah, that's normal. That's normal. She's been hot. She's been on fire. She's been catching a lot of fish. She's been having fun. She's learning a lot. I'm excited for her, so she should continue to do a lot of fishing and have a lot of fun. I'll be out tomorrow morning. Then I'm going to try to get out possibly Wednesday out of Port or Milwaukee with my buddy Matt. Thursday, I might lie for a little while. I think I'm going to go to Kenosha if the weather looks okay and fish with a buddy of mine, Shane Jack from Schools Out. Yeah, I think Jackson does need an energy drink. I think the problem is he hasn't been doing energy drinks. He's been doing Busch Light, which might be why he's tired. But I think he's also probably tired because he's been working a lot.
Yeah.
So Thursday, I'll hopefully have a report for everybody at Kenosha, get a report going on down there. And then this weekend, I will be up at the Blue Door tournament in Kewanee. I'm hoping to get a cameraman. I'm trying to line that up now. Hoping to get a cameraman for the weekend for Friday's pre-fishing, Saturday's tournament. I think that's going to be a total crapshoot. I think there'll be just enough kings around that there's going to be some guys trying to fish for them all day, and being a one-day tournament, which is not my MO and not my favorite at all. I do not like one-day tournaments. I generally do not have a good luck in those. I'm more of a 2-day guy, but I'm looking forward to it, and want to get up there and get some fishing done. So Friday we'll pre-fish. And Saturday will be the tournament if the weather's decent. So if you're on here, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I see only 44 people have. There's 160 on. Do me a favor. It helps the channel, and it helps this particular live get spread out after so people can see it. So hit that thumbs up button, a bunch of you guys, and get that going for me. Josh says, do you like to run your spoons on lead core or copper for kings? Either one. I'm not a giant spoon guy for kings. I never have been, and I've talked about that a lot. I do like spoons around the harbor area. I do like spoons in shallow water. I also do like spoons on a deep downrigger if I'm on a charter and I can run double. I'll double stack like Green Jeans or something like that.
Right.
But I'm more of a flasher vegan rig kind of guy. That's just sort of how I've been brought up and fished. With that said, I do think this time of year, especially early when there's a lot of fish up high, spoons on a 5-color, 7-color can be really good for kings if there's some around.
Now, what would you say? Question for you, Russ. Would you say a standard or a mag spoon for a king?
I would say that can be a by the day thing. I'm more of a standard up high, mag down deep kind of guy.
Okay.
Like if I was going to put a spoon on a rigger down 80, 90, 100, it'd be a mag for sure.
Okay.
I generally prefer more of a standard on like a 5-color or 7-color because I think you get more mixed size up there. And I think the standard's just a little bigger for mixed size.
Yeah. It's been crazy just looking at the sizes of the alewife this year. I mean, some are 4 inches and some are 7 inches. You know what I mean? So it's just really, it's a weird year.
For sure. Kevin asks, how do you generally pick your flasher fly combinations for chrome flashers? Check out my program building video, Kevin. I think that's a really important one. But what I like to do is I like to fish the same general color patterns on flashers. So if they're biting on Megatron, then I'll have, Studs Blue Chin out. I'll have, Peyton's Pounder out. You can see here, very similar. Cryptotron, and I would expect all 4 of those to go if one's going. Flies, I treat it a little differently. I will fish exactly the same fly, which a lot of these have illumination on it because that's all I've been able to get bites on lately. I will have exactly the same fly on every single flasher if I figure out something's working. So a lot of times, like tomorrow morning, I'll probably have sure between 8 and 9. We'll probably have 4 different fly colors out to start. And if we get a king bait, even one potentially, we may end up putting all that color on. Or if we get, if I get 2 king bites for sure and it's on the same fly, whether it's illumination or glowing lep or I'm seeing a lot of No Mercy come across the website. Somebody down in Port Milwaukee, Kenosha is getting some kings on No Mercy because I'm seeing a ton of those come across the website getting ordered from that area. I'll have a No Mercy on tomorrow morning on something. If that goes, then I'll start putting a bunch more out.
Right.
So, let's see here. Any questions? We're kind of getting to the middle here a little bit. So we'll do that. That Blue Door tournament. Hopefully, I get an opportunity to film that for you guys so you can check it out. Landon Freeman Outdoors says, I'm going off Sheboygan tomorrow evening with Dumper Dan. Do you think it'll be good fishing? If Jake settles down, I think you guys will catch some fish. Maybe you'll even have Jackson and Lily. Who knows? They're on 1.
Yep.
But he's got 6 boats, so you never do know. Doug Franzen says 8-inch flasher, 54-inch lead with a mag spoon produces big kings down deep. Otherwise, leave the spoon in the box. Yeah, I mean, I've never been one that's done super well on flasher with spoons, but I know people that do and have caught some fish on them. So it doesn't surprise me at all that thing. And yeah, Nick says he likes to put. I know he loves Megatron. He'll put 6 out at a time. Listen, Megatron arguably is one of the best flashers I've ever designed or come up with.
Yeah.
Or sold or whatever term you want to say. And if that's what they want, give it to them. Like I said, I like to usually have a little bit of variations that are very, very similar. That's just how I do it. I don't put out 2 of the same one, generally speaking, but it's kind of personal preference. I know a lot of people that do. So keep smashing that thumbs up button on your screen. Get that pumped up. Let's get some more questions. Mountain Dew stud is a great color, especially this time of year. There was some kings definitely being caught on Mountain Dew stud over the last couple of weeks. And that would be one that I would probably say Nate will probably have that on in his spread. Nate loves Mountain Dew stud.
He loves it.
So he'll have that on in his spread. Nate will probably have a white icon on, so I probably won't have to put anything white on. What fly or meat rig do you like to run with Megatron? Megatron almost always at least starts with illumination for me. Absolutely.
Sure.
I know Jackson's a giant illumination guy, so am I. I think it's the best fly salmon candy's ever made. Mercy UV is really good too. I mean, they're all good, but
if there's one standout fly out of the salmon candy lineup, it'd be illumination.
Yep. I'm going to show you guys a couple things. I probably shouldn't, but I will. I'll show you guys a couple things. One of the things that I've been disappointed about is because we haven't had any kings around for the most part yet, I haven't got to do any testing. Normally, you and I are testing pretty hard for next year by now. Like this is the key testing time. So in what's the word I'm looking for? For it to be coming, I guess. Waiting for some kings to start to show up. I've been getting prepared with some new stuff. I mentioned last time we had a Cryptotron fly that we were going to be playing with. There's another new one we're going to be playing with. I don't have one here, but I'll maybe show on the live next week that we're going to play with and get sort of started. But I also had Doc, our painter, paint up a couple flashers to do some testing with. Now knowing that blue is starting to get back to normal. Blue Knight, Green Knight is one of our good sellers and is a great, usually late June, early July and through July flasher. I'm going to try this Blue Knight. And the other one that I'm really excited about because one of our best all-time sellers has been UV Super Frog. Somebody asked about that already. That's just a damn good flasher and it always has been. So maybe UV Blue Super Frog will be good.
I think it looks hot.
I think it looks really good. I think it's going to be hot. Probably I'll have one of those 2 on tomorrow morning. At least to give it a fair shake and see what happens. So, but one of the things that I've always done and sort of prided myself upon is we test everything before we make it. That's a really big deal. I don't know how many companies are doing that or aren't doing that, but we probably will test 20 to 35 different flasher colors this year to come up with probably 6 new ones for next year.
Yep.
And, to be quite frank, a bunch of them will just be duds. And then there'll be a bunch of them that will be really good. And then there'll be some that'll just be really, really good.
Right.
And, that's how Cryptotron was born, and Rombro Stud, and Stud's Blue Chin, and
don't forget about Jackson's Barracuda.
Chrome Paper Pounder. Yes. So that was actually on my mind. I'm glad you mentioned that. Jackson's on the ball today. So one of the only blue flashers I didn't have here on Chrome and Blue that I didn't have here on the boat, that also I didn't post a picture of, that Nick sent me that he got him on this weekend, was Jackson's Barracuda, 41 down on a rigger. So that's also a Chrome and Blue flasher you absolutely need to have.
Yeah.
And need to have all. That thing's been hot all year.
Yeah.
Jackson's Barracuda has been good. We've been playing with Better Than Jackson, which we already have kind of named.
Green one?
A green version for next year. Again, not saying any of these are going to for surely be good, or be brought to market, I should say. But we're playing with them. So let's see what we got here. Rob Waisley says, what line lengths out for pump handles? 30 to 60 foot, 8 or 10 ounce. 30 foot is more of an 8 ounce. That's like a 91 to 131 probably out on an 8. If you want to get down to 60, that's a 10 ounce deal. You're probably looking at 100 to 150 back on a 10 ounce to get you down there. Speedy Gamer says, do you run meat rigs and vegan rigs strictly on 10 and 12 inch paddles? No, I've ran them with flies before and done good. I do, if I'm going to run vegan rigs or meat rigs, it's generally on a 10 or 12 inch fish blade for sure. Right now, Jeff asked, anyone selling your stuff in West Michigan? Not yet. We keep talking about bringing some dealers on board, but honestly, we can't keep up with the website, and that's our best way to get you guys, the most amount of stuff we can. If we start giving stuff to dealers, the website's going to struggle even more. So right now, we're just trying to make quality stuff as fast as we can and as best as we can. What temp and are you looking for to catch kings surfacing at the ball? There hasn't been enough water set up yet, Chris, to be able to predict anything. Right now, I would say you're looking for the warmest water possible.
Yeah.
That would be what I would be looking for. Surface water and down water.
Yep. Try
to find the warmest water in the general area, and I think that's where you'll probably find some kings. And unfortunately, it has not been close to shore lately. So we'll see kind of what happens here as we go along.
Yeah, I went out this morning and the surface temp was 52, and then I went out this afternoon and it was 49. So it's changing drastically.
Yeah. That's the problem. When it starts changing so regularly, that's part of the problem of what we got going on. Craig just sent us, he's on the live. That's the new potential new fly. So I guess I should show it. This is a potential new fly for next year we're going to play with. Glowing Mint Leprechaun. I think it's going to be really, really good. Glowing Lep was probably in our top 3 sellers last year, and maybe would have been 2 or 1. We didn't have enough of them when they got hot. But that thing was absolutely lights out in July and August last year. I mean, Glowing Lep on everything for me when Samarama started. And it's been good. Oh, sounds like Santa's on the dock. I think that was Santa Kaisik, but I'm not positive. He's had a few mixers, so you never know what you're going to get. Let's see. Yeah, Brian says sell your stuff across the lake too. Brian, we want to bad. Like I said, right now we're just trying to fill the website and keep it going so that we can get people all the stuff that they need. Flash Outdoors said, what's the best speed strategy without a fish hawk? Slowly change speeds or main speed, change direction? I would change speeds until I got a bite. And I would try to hold that. Angle or direction is all about rod position. And what I mean by that is you need your rods running straight. In other words, when you look out the back of the boat, all the rods should be running straight. Your rod shouldn't be like this, with this side pulling harder than this side. Your rod shouldn't be like this. If you have the rods pulling, harder on one side than the other, you need to adjust your angle till you get them all straight.
Yep.
Once you get them all straight, that's the angle you want. Now you play around with different speeds until you get it to work if you don't have a fish hawk.
Yep, I would agree.
Tim Burns asks, Russell, do you think the thousands of dead alewives on the beaches, Manistee, North have something to do with the lack of kings on the side of the lake. Never have seen as much bait in the last 5 years. What do you think?
It's every time that I go out, I just see pile of alewives. So I think it has a little bit to do with it, and then I think a lot of it has to do with water temperature right now. It's just not setting up like it's normally set up by now. We've had a cold winter. So with that being said, hopefully within this week or next week we can start producing some more kings, and hopefully it becomes more normal.
I would say that I would agree with most of what you said. The only thing I differ on is I just think we have that much bait in the lake right now. We've been trying to tell this to the DNR for a long time, and I've said this a few times, and some people would take this out of character for me, but it's the truth, and I say it how it is. We have too much bait in the lake right now, and I don't want people to misinterpret what I'm saying. We have too much bait in the lake right now for the amount of fish we have in the lake. I wish there was 3 times the amount of bait, because then we could have 5 times the amount of fish.
Right.
But we have too much bait in the lake for the amount of fish we have. That's why fishing is tougher than it should be.
Right.
When you're marking the kind of bait we're marking day in and day out, and then you're seeing the amount of dead bait that's around, that tells you how much bait there really is. It's really hard to trick a salmon into biting an artificial lure when he's got that much natural feed.
Right. Exactly.
So that makes fishing way tougher than it should be, for sure. Nick says that he's seen a lot of changing speeds for bites this year. That really doesn't surprise me at all. Again, fishing's been sort of what I would consider off. So, we'll see what happens. But true. Playing hooky says can't get the biggest king ever when there's not enough bait. Agreed. That's a reason why the state record, lake record, maybe even Great Lakes record was broke last year with that giant king over in Michigan, because we just have that much bait in the lake right now, and I think it's just we're getting more. I think we've had a couple of really great hatches. I don't know how this year's will be. We'll see. But we have had decent winters as well. It hasn't been crazy, stupid, frozen to the bottom of the lake type stuff. That helps those alewives get through the winter. And we'll see. The DNR, the Wisconsin DNR is putting a little more fish in the lake, but the Michigan DNR is not playing ball. So that's kind of hurting us as fishermen as well, because Wisconsin's on the program of let's get some more fish in the lake, and Michigan is not.
Right.
So,
but
it's definitely not helping.
Michigan has more reproductive than Wisconsin, correct?
That's what they're saying. Yep. I'm a little bit iffy on the natural reproduction thing, but they are. If there is any, it's definitely on the Michigan side for sure. Any other questions? So this week I'll be out a little bit, hoping to maybe, as long as the wind don't blow, I'll fish Sheboygan tomorrow. Maybe Port or Milwaukee with a report for you Wednesday or Thursday. Well, it won't be Thursday. Probably be Wednesday if I get out Port or Milwaukee. Thursday will be Kenosha if I go with Shane Jock from Schools Out. Friday will be Kewanee pre-fishing for the Blue Door. Saturday will be the Blue Door. And we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So Steve May said caught a laker on Sunday and spit 5 alewives out on the boat. I believe it. Thomas Ewer says, when should I come back to hopefully catch some? I think like a week or two is going to be pretty good. I honestly think we'll start to see some kings show up now, and it's going to get pretty good after that. But we'll see. It'll be interesting to see how this all pans out. Carver Hansen says, if you're running meat, where would you run it in your spread? My favorite place is a wire diver. If I'm going to run one rig to start, that's what it would be. It's also where I like to run that vegan rig to start. And then, like anything else, if I start getting bit on meat, I just use more and more and more of it as it continues to work.
How far in the water column are you putting that down?
I'm going to put it wherever I think the volume of the kings are. So like right now, I would probably have it in that top 40.
Okay.
Maybe like 81 out on a wire or 71 out on a wire or something like that. And then if that goes, like I said, I might put one on a deep rigger or maybe even on a pump or something like that. Yep. Somebody asked if we're considering spin doctors or just paddles in production. I'm considering everything. I never not consider something. I'm always trying to think about what we can do on what's the next step for salmon candy, and what would be, the next best step. I'm personally not a big spin doctor guy, but I know that that particular design of flasher works and people like it.
Yep.
So something like that in the future is definitely a possibility. We'll see. Any other questions? we've had a really good night. 171 people on. It's been fun. I'm definitely going to try to get a few more videos out this week. I want to do how to set pump handles and how to reset pump handles video. That's what I want to get out. When things are not working, how long do you wait until you change baits? Also, choosing to run spoons versus flashers and flies and meat. I'll answer the first part about that question, Ken. I'm a big believer in if you got good stuff out and you're not getting bit at all, it's not your tackle.
Right.
What you have to do, in my opinion, is figure out if it's your tackle or if it's your speed or direction or whatever. If you're not getting bit on anything, I probably am not switching much out if you got your best stuff on, if anything at all. And then when I start getting a couple of bites, then I'll start switching out to more stuff like it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah,
scenario?
I would totally agree with that.
I think it's the opposite what a lot of people think. A lot of people think, well, if I'm not catching anything, I'm going to switch a whole bunch of stuff. That's actually the flip opposite of what I would normally do. I normally would not switch anything when I'm catching nothing.
Right.
And I would switch a lot when I'm starting to get bit because I want to get more and more and more rods working.
And do you think a lot of that has to do with speed and direction, correct?
If you're not catching anything, I think it has to do with location, speed, or direction.
Okay.
One of those three things isn't right, or potentially all of them or whatever. If you're getting a few bites, but maybe not as good as everybody else or whatever, that's what I'm going to start changing lures and things like that to try to figure out if I can get more things working. Christopher Foyne says, do you think the night bite will pick up the next few weeks when the kings show up? We're getting out of this full moon, so I think the early morning and evening bite should pick up. I think that's also another problem we have right now. Wags got those kings midday.
Yep.
I think as we get away from that full moon even more, I think sort of more of the normal, early morning, late evening stuff will work. So should get to the point where, these like 4 to 9 trips that people go out on for fun, or 5 to 9:30 or whatever, that should get pretty good for kings coming up here. So anything you want to add? What do you got? You got charters all week and weekend, or you got something going on? You're going to Bagel Thursday, aren't you?
I think I'm going to Bagel with Doc, possibly. But then that's my only day off. Otherwise, I'll be on the lake all day.
You trolling Doc's T-bones?
Yep, all day, every day.
Yeah, I want to get over there and do that too. It sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah, so you'll be out all week. We could probably get a report from you if anything major is going on in Sheboygan.
Yep.
If I get an opportunity tomorrow, if we get anything going, even a king or two, maybe I'll go live or definitely get your report, because now I know everybody's itching to catch some kings.
Yeah,
you're itching, I'm itching.
I'm very. Yeah.
You've caught a couple. I have yet to catch a king, I don't think, out of Sheboygan. I caught a couple pre-fishing for Salmon Cup up north. I had one on Friday pre-fishing, but I just has not happened for me. So,
I think out of all the trips that I've ran this year, I think I've caught 5 kings out of Sheboygan.
I've done okay in Milwaukee and Portland.
Yeah,
I've caught some there. Milwaukee in
For
particular, I had a couple days where I had 3 or 4 4-year-olds.
For sure.
Had some nice days with green jeans and Jackson's Barracuda and some of that stuff. So we probably got to start playing with a couple of their new flashers, because we really only have come up with 6 or 8 that we are going to play with. We probably need to start playing with a few more of those, and hopefully that'll get better. I think I mentioned last week, coming up here now in July, I'll be over in Ludington for the Ludington Offshore Challenge.
Sounds like fun.
Then early May, I'm going backwards. Early August.
I think you've had too many of these. What's going on?
I haven't had any. That might be part of the problem. Early August, I'll be over in Manistee for the Monster, and Frankfurt for their tournament. So we should be able to bring you a bunch of tournament coverage. Patrick's asking, what was my hot ticket for your Salmon Cup trout? Dodgers and spinning glows, pretty much is what we caught most of them on. I think we got a bell biter or two, cowbell biter or two, but it was primarily Dodgers and spinning glows. What website app has the lake surface temp? I don't use an app. I just use the website.
I know Nate uses Seagull.
Seagull, I've heard of that. Yep. I use the NOAA Coast Watch.
Okay.
Like Michigan surface temp map. Playing Hooky wants to know who edits my thumbnails. Usually I cut them with nail clippers. No, I know what you mean. My buddy who does the editing for the videos also edits the thumbnails. Do you think they're good or not good? I don't know. I don't know what you're getting at there. But Chase Macer was one of my really good buddies. He did the Salmon Showdown. He's doing the Salmon Showdown again.
When are they coming out with that?
I think they're taped their first one in Grand Haven. I think they're doing Ludington, Manistee, and Frankfurt. And I think that's probably something that's going to be off season,
okay,
stuff available. So yeah, we'll get rolling here. Try and get a bunch of content out to you this week. We're gonna keep testing stuff and see if we can get things figured out. And oh, Nate's trying to beg me to go along on Thursday down to Kenosha if I go. So Nate, yeah, if you're on here, actually I think Shane pulled it aside for a little fun trip. So maybe Nate, you can come along. Maybe you'll actually catch something. I don't know. Hasn't been very good for Nate. Kevin
stapled them.
Kevin waffle stomped him last week. I will waffle stomp him tomorrow morning. You can pretty much take that to the bank.
Is it kind of like when you go fishing with Matt when he gets a couple bites in the dark and then you just produce the most fish on your side after the sun comes up, or how does that?
Yeah, with Matt, I always sort of tease him that I always kind of tease him that he gets them in the dark, and then I get them when the sun comes up and they can actually see.
Yeah.
See the bait. With Nate, it's really nothing like that. He just doesn't get bites. No, I'm just teasing Nate. Nate's a good dude. He gets a few bites from time to time. Oh, he says, "Stop busting my balls." Yeah, busting Nate's balls. You can hear that.
He loves it.
Yeah, Nate's down on the fish stick right now, drinking cocktails like they're going out of style because he had off this afternoon, got blown off the lake. So I guess me and Jackson will probably walk down there and see what Nate's got going on. Make sure he's got the rods ready for the morning, and then bust his balls some more probably.
Yeah. Hopefully they're not all tangled.
Hopefully not. Yeah, he's had a couple cocktails this afternoon, enjoying himself. So, Tim Burns says if I need a cameraman, let him know. I definitely will do that, Tim. I'm hoping to. I want to film all those Michigan tournaments, so we'll get something figured out now. Coming up here for that, and I'll get somebody hopefully figured out for this weekend, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So, look for a bunch of stuff this week for content. Again, make sure you like the Russell's Fishing Tech page. Make sure you give the thumbs up here. We're starting to get a bunch of those. Invite your buddies to the Russell's Fishing Tech YouTube page. I mean, you're not going to find too many pages out there with more information than this. And we're going to start pounding out more content and get more stuff out. I want to get a bunch of this on the water stuff done. I want to talk about diver rod holders, specifically ratcheting rod holders, and why you should use those. I want to talk about a couple different options on how to do downriggers with rubber bands and without. And the types of releases that you can use. I want to talk about pump handles, how to get them in and out correctly. A whole bunch of that kind of stuff is coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So look for it on the YouTube channel. Invite your buddies, and who knows, maybe you will even drag Jackson along for a trip or two. Try and get a couple videos done with him, or maybe I'll jump out on number one day with Lily and Jackson.
That would be fun.
And maybe we'll do a Lily, Jackson, and Russell beat down on Lake Michigan live. Russell's Fishing Tech. So thanks for coming again. We'll be live again next Monday, 6 p.m. I've been enjoying this. I've been enjoying bringing a couple buddies along too. So appreciate everybody joining in. We've been having great numbers. Keep smashing that subscribe button. Keep smashing those likes. That's how we get more people viewing the page. And that's what we want. That's why I do it. If people aren't going to watch it, then I won't do it anymore.
Right.
We've been having record numbers of people watching, so apparently somebody likes it. Thanks again. And we're off till next week. Look for all the new stuff.